137 million miles from Earth on the planet Mars, aviation history is being made. Wait a minute, this isn't Mars?
Hey guys, DemonDriver here, and in this video I'm going to show you how to make your own little mini NASA JPL Ingenuity Mars helicopter for under $10 right here. Autonomous, it doesn't need a controller, just like the Ingenuity or Ginny JPL NASA Ingenuity copter that's right now on Mars. It flies by itself, it has its own internal software and sensing equipment. And so does this. It has a little sensor for obstacles and then a little gyro, and it basically flies itself much like the real Ingenuity copter on Mars. So in this video, we're going to build one, we're going to make one, and we're going to fly it. Okay? Being a father, being a dad, first-time dad, having a little girl, there's a lot of things I want to be there for and not miss. I want to be a dad to my daughter and not be absent. So for this first year of her life, I want to make sure that I'm there. So little projects like this have to fit in, you know, after my daughter's needs are met, and then I have a little bit of time to make little things like this. Okay, so basically what this little RC helicopter really is an autonomous little RC copter. I went to a local discount store, a Burke's here in South Carolina, and it's made by a company, Braha. It's called the iFly Robot. It's only $7.99 US, which is really inexpensive, and it's all based on there's a handset. There's basically a sensor here, very similar to what you have on a remote control, and it basically is like a little infrared sensor, and it detects your hand. And this is another example of it, and it basically will bounce off of, you know, it'll avoid any object that gets within the beam, which is right here. And you know, when you open it up, it comes with a little recharger. It's very, very simple, and the cool thing about this is I bought 2 of these for under $20. It's autonomous. It doesn't need a controller. It basically flies on its own. The only downside is, if you're going to fly it outdoors, make sure there's no wind, and do this. You want to weigh it down a little bit with something. This is just for me to show you it flying before I convert it into a little, you know, model RC Mars helicopter, the little autonomous Mars helicopter. And I'm keeping the character on here, the little plastic shell, but you want to weigh it down with a little weight, and that keeps it from in between the sensor activating it. It kind of keeps it in a general low altitude so it doesn't fly off somewhere. I'm just going to hold it in my hand. You want to pretty much hold it straight up because there's a little onboard gyro that can determine its orientation. So I'll just go ahead and you basically turn it on like that. Little button in the back. It activates, and you just let it go. Keep your hand under it, like so. See, so it basically, it does pretty well on its own. It's fairly gyro stabilized until it, you know, hits leaves or whatever. So what we're going to do is we're going to disassemble it. We're going to take the shell off of it. I got two versions, and I weigh it down a little bit because when it's fully charged, this thing tends to pop up pretty high, and when we're outside, we don't want it getting, you know, taken off too far and basically getting away from us. Alright, so I got a Phillips screwdriver. There's little Phillips screws, and in actuality I got to use a very thin screwdriver to get in there in order to be able to take apart this this shell. Go ahead and there we are. And what's important is to make sure we don't break anything as we take this apart. That would really mess things up. There we are. Ah, there we are. There's the body. There's the internal mechanism. We got a little circuit board with the gyro, on-off switch, recharge port. Here's our, appears to be a brushed motor, battery, reduction gear, counter-rotating gear right in here, shaft within a shaft, our infrared sensor, and our other, I think our gyro right down there. So what we want to do is basically get all of this up into here so that this becomes the box, so that we have the equipment box for the Mars copter here, and we're going to have to move this circuit board. This circuit board is going to have to be moved up into this portion up into here. You understand? And then the legs ride the top of the box. The little stem legs, the 4 legs. So they're going to have to ride off the top of the box. So it's going to take a little bit of finessing to get this right, but I accept the challenge. Yeah, pretty cool. First things first, actually, let's get this out of the way. Let's get an easy thing out of the way right now. Let's go ahead and let's paint the blades black for both of these. I'm going to do a dull black. I don't know, maybe a semi-gloss black, I don't know. I'm going to go ahead and take a piece of tape, and I'm going to tape over the sensors, because I don't want to get paint on these sensors. So I'm keeping the body on the, on here for now while I paint this. That way, I'm not going to gum up any of the electronics with paint. You never know what kind of adverse, what that could do. So, alright, that's just these economic times, man. You don't want to spend a whole lot of money if you don't have to. So let's go ahead and let's paint these blades up. What's really important is you don't want to, you got to be real careful how you distribute the paint on such small blades, because you can really, you can very easily mess up the weight distribution on the blades if you really go crazy and add too much paint to one blade as opposed to another. That can sometimes just be enough with these small little copters to mess up the balance. I know you may think I'm nuts, but it actually can, because these things are so small. It's like a little dragonfly or something, like a real. They're very sensitive. So I'm going and painting these blades black so that they match what's on the Mars copter. Got a circuit board. We got the motor, reduction gear, battery, infrared sensor, and probably what's with the gyro. Okay, so what we're going to do now is we're going to very gently disassemble everything and kind of start to see what we can do in relations to these things, where we can put them and how we can fit them into a small, neat package, which would be the body of the lander, or body of the Ingenuity helicopter. It's called Ingenuity, just so everybody knows. So we want to leave everything accessible. We want to leave the charging port and the power button accessible, so that when I want to charge it and turn it on and off, obviously, I can do it easily through the through a port or a hole or something. So let's see what we can do here. Let's see how we can move stuff around, that it's not crooked or bent from the original design. So let me just carefully turn it on to see if it's still, that everything functions still. Alright, so everything still functions. There's the sensor, you can hear that. So that's what we want. Perfect. Okay, now we can go ahead and start to make the body of our little micro Ingenuity Mars lander helicopter, little Ingenuity chopper. The Mars Ingenuity helicopter. It's a fairly rectangular equipment box, or battery and sensor box, that fits below. It's aluminum or made of carbon fiber, then coated with a protective kind of a chrome mylar coating, you know, to kind of protect it from solar radiation and the sun and dust and other things. So we want to kind of get something close to that. So I take a caliper, and I want to just kind of get a general idea as to what I can make, as opposed to a, you know, what I can do here, and what my measurements are. I want the rectangle to be lengthwise longer this way and shorter this way, because it's more of a rectangle than a box, than a perfectly symmetrical square. So I'm thinking something like this, maybe a 1.5 inch box, just like that. Pieces of Depron, they don't need to be too big, because obviously this is not going to be a very large equipment box. This is going to be pretty small. So we know that our two lengthwise walls or sides of the box are going to be about a little under 1.5 inches. So let's go ahead and let's draw that out. Now, as my builds go, this is a pretty tiny little thing. I got 13-foot 777-9X, two of them. And compared to these, this is nothing. This is just tiny. This is minute, very small. So we're gonna go ahead and that's about as high as we want to make it, a little over 1 inch high, so that everything can neatly fit inside of it. So what we want to do is we want to make a straight off. We just want to go ahead and we can make a straight cut and make all the sides and everything, make all 4 sides just like that. So we can cut off and make the right and left, or front and back sides of the box, the equipment box. And then we can determine how deep we want it to be, meaning how wide we want the box to be. And let's do that now. We now know those are the sides of the box. Let's find out how wide we want the box to be overall. And we'll tuck these wires in. I'll tuck that in. Well, from the looks of it, we can make the box pretty thin. Alright, let's go ahead and start cutting our Depron for the box of our Ingenuity Mars lander. Let's get a better razor here. So right now I'm just getting the front and back and one of the sides of the equipment box for the Ingenuity copter equipment bay or equipment box. And what that is going to do is this is basically going to slide like so. You see? That's going to fit just like that. Front and back portions of the box, of the equipment box. Now I'm going to add this side. And I did all that and I left room for the on-off switch and the charging port. As you can see that little hole there? That is for the charging port. And this is all very simple, basic stuff. This is very, very simple, easy to do. You can do this with your kids at home, you know. Alright, now all we need is to fabricate the top. Let's go ahead and get one last measurement here. Alright, that's going to be the top of our box. Alright, here's the top of the box. So what we're going to do is we're going to cut a slot straight to where the area is going to be for the rotor blades, so that basically we have an opening. So I draw that into there just like that, right? And I very gently cut this circle out like so. And I'm going to cover up any imperfections with the aluminum tape. Kind of a steel wire like this. These are used for servo rods, but I'm going to repurpose them here as little landing legs. So I am going to right now have a look again at the Ingenuity lander. I'm going to look at the photos that I have on stock. I need to mimic that same look with these legs. So I don't want them to be too long, but at the same time I need them to be similar to what's on the actual lander, or excuse me, what's on the actual Ingenuity helicopter. So I'm going to go about that long. Yeah, I'm going to go with about a 5-inch length, and then I'm going to bend the foot pad to where it lands. I'm going to bend that up, bend this piece in, 4 wires that I want to use for the landing leg. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the one that I marked everything off on, and I'm going to go ahead and replicate all the same marks on all of them, and then that mark down there for the landing pads. So what I'm simply going to do is all 4 of these, and go ahead and get a wrench, go across all 4 like that, and take 2 at a time and bend them together like so, and kind of there we go. See, and then I bend them together, and then I go ahead and place them on here to make sure that basically it's the right bend, it's the right angle, and it is. I like what I see. Alright, now I'm going to do the same with the other two legs. I got the little bend for the foot pad, and I got the bend up here where it's going to meet into the top of the fuse. So let's go ahead and let's epoxy this right to the top of the lander's equipment box. In order to make life a little bit easier, what I'm doing is I put a little bit of UV glue on the right there on the lander. On the lander leg, so that way it makes it a little bit easier for me to come in with the regular epoxy. So I can set the leg into position with the UV glue, and then come in after the fact with the 5-minute epoxy and put that over it to help it set. At least this puts the wire into position, and I see once you gotta wait for the wire to set. You gotta wait for the 5-minute epoxy to set. And while that happens, it takes a lot of time, and you know, your wire is going to move around. It's going to go all over the place, and you don't want that to happen. That just kind of adds to frustration. So with this, I can go ahead and put our landing leg right where I want it to be. On the lander, or on the, I keep saying lander, on the Ingenuity Mars copter. And it's not really an RC copter, it's a fully autonomous drone, if you will. It has its own built-in logic and memory and programs and sensors, and it basically will take cues from Perseverance, but it basically it does what it's pre-programmed to do, which is pretty cool. And it does that so it doesn't have to be completely dependent on the Rover, so it can kind of go off and do its own thing, if you will. So I'm hoping that these legs don't add too much weight overall to this overall design. That's what I'm hoping. And I'm just taking a bit of epoxy and place it under each one of the stems of the leg as to where I want the landing pads to go. And I've gone ahead and made each little landing see, I made the little pads there, so they'll just fit on there like that, and do the same on each side. Alright, so I'm going to get a little bit of silver paint, and I'm going to paint in the corners here on the top, because any areas where I might not be able to get that chrome film, I want to get these areas taken care of, so that way at least you don't see white. You know, you don't see the white depron, because that'll, you know, any kind of scale look we're trying to get, we're going to lose that. So I'm just going ahead and painting the upper portion of the equipment, of the sensor and equipment body of the Ingenuity copter. There we go. And by doing that, I can then proceed with adding the chrome film to the body of it. Here we go. Fully autonomous. Okay, let's go from an open hand here. Let's try and hold it level. Here we go. So you got to keep your hand, you got to keep something under the sensor. You got to keep something under the sensor, and that keeps the throttle up and keeps it powering up and ascending up. So let's reset the props. All right, try it again. This is actually a lot of fun. Well, there you have it, guys. The Mars Ingenuity helicopter. I want to congratulate everybody at NASA and JPL, Jet Propulsion Laboratory, for their amazing little creation. Ginny, as they call it. Little Ginny. So this is a little micro Ginny, and not bad for under 10 bucks. So congratulations, JPL and NASA, and with a little bit of time, you can make your own Ingenuity Mars helicopter. This is DemonDriver. You guys take care.